In the following video, I will show you how the Earl of Oxford used the pen name William Shakespeare to play a practical joke on the world, naming the plays after a guy who couldn't read or write. Vest me in my motley, give me leave to speak my mind. Speak my mind. Speak my mind. Fresh off of reading Mark Anderson's Shakespeare by Another Name, I searched the plays looking for the use of the name William. With no last name, I had a hunch. What if the Earl of Oxford was making a joke by naming the plays after a guy who couldn't read or write? So as I read the nearly million words of Shakespeare, I looked particularly for the uses of the name William with no last name. There's only one William in all of Shakespeare with no last name. He's in Act 5 in the Forest of Arden. In the cast list, we are told that William is a country fellow in love with Audrey. Audrey means nobility or noble strength. A country fellow in love with nobility pretty much describes the works of William Shakespeare. She is looking to marry Touchstone, a courtly fool, who is introduced to us in Act 2 by Celia as Wit. Touchstone means the standard by which something is recognized, so Touchstone represents Edward de Vere's wit. Touchstone is not actually a person, and we find that out in Act 3, Scene 3, when we first see him trying to marry Audrey. In the scene before we meet William, Audrey and Touchstone are discussing marriage when they see William coming. Then 3 times in a row, to the only William with no last name in all of Shakespeare, he says, "Cover, cover, cover." From that conversation on, everything becomes a little strange. He drills William with questions, kind of like a father would to a man who's marrying his daughter. Notice, he asks him if his name was born in the forest, not if he was born in the forest. And the first speech in Act 2 tells us that the forest is a book. And now he really starts to bullshit us. There's no such thing as a heathen philosopher, so the first part is a setup to hide what he really wants to say, which is, lips are made to open. This matches with what Jacques asks for in Act 2 when he wishes to have a motley coat, which is no different than a pen name, so he can speak his mind. But now, see, he's asked him all these questions, and now we're getting ready for the wedding, right? Because that's what the play As You Like It is about. It's about everybody getting married in the forest. You see, sounds like a minister. "You do love this maid?" "I do, sir." "Give me your hand." And then he doesn't give the hand back. He has another question before he's going to marry William. "No, sir." And there you have it. My hunch is correct. The only William with no last name in all of Shakespeare is unlearned. But not so fast. Touchstone has an idea of how to make William learn it. It's a tiny riddle. Since he's not learned, he says, "Learn this of me." He doesn't say, "Learn this from me." He says, "Learn this about me." He has his hand, and he's going to use it to fill William up with what Touchstone has. But that Touchstone is actually William. Thus, William, born in the forest of Shakespeare, is the wit of Edward de Vere. So now we know William is Touchstone's wit, and so now he is telling his own wit that it has to leave the society of this female. Now in Act 2, when Jacques gives the famous All the World's a Stage speech and says, I wish I could have a motley coat to speak my mind, Duke Sr. says, you would offend people. If he doesn't leave the society of this female, he will perish, or to his better understanding, diest. But die, said out loud, can mean ink. Put my life in black ink on dead wood. Freedom to speak one's mind, bound into a book. There are lots of poisonings in Shakespeare. Sword fights. You see, Orlando is not the main lead character in As You Like It. It's actually Jacques, who tells us the legend for the rest of the play. All the world's a stage, and one man plays many parts. So As You Like It is really just a conversation between two people playing many parts, Edward de Vere and Queen Elizabeth. Celia and Rosalind give us the legend by which to read this play when they decide to switch names once they get to the Forest of Arden. And they're being exiled into the forest. So when we're exiled into the forest, it really means we're exiled into print because the forest is a book. That's why at the end, all the characters say, I am for Ganymede and I am for Rosalind. And they go in a circle and they talk weird. Look carefully at these lines. Why blame you me to love you? Why blame you me? They are the same people. Means shining a light. So when Rosalind is in the Forest of Arden, a light is shined on her. And when she's outside of it, she's the pale, the chaste, the unexpressive she. He moved from a small town to the big city and became the biggest thing in show business. But if you were meant to be king, in love with a queen, would never marry. I have neither the scholar's melancholy, which is emulation, nor the musician's, which is fantastical, nor the courtier's, which is proud, nor the soldier's, which is ambitious, nor the lawyer's, which is politic, nor the lady's, which is nice, nor the lover's, which is all these. But it is a melancholy of mine own, compounded of many simples, extracted from many objects, and indeed the sundry's contemplation of my travels, in which my often rumination wraps me in a most humorous sadness. As you like it. You see, without the writer Orlando putting it on the page, Elizabeth can't be the living moon. She can't have personality.